What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's been a couple weeks, but we are back, and this time it is NFL content. We are back with mock drafts, my first one of the 2024 NFL draft. Super hyped for this draft. A lot of great prospects. We know the QB room, the receiver room, the offensive tackle room. There's a lot of good players in this draft, and I'm excited to get into this here. So, without further ado, let's get into this. And with the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, we do have the Bears selecting Caleb Williams. This one, obvious. We know it's going to happen. The next pick is really where the draft starts, in my opinion. Bears, easy, going with Caleb Williams. At 2, a lot of people thinking the Commanders could take Drake May with this selection. I could see it happening. I meant Jaden Daniels. But I am going with Drake May here. I think Drake May is just the better prospect than Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a great runner, but I do think he has some room to grow at passing. Drake May, though, I think he is very ready at the passing attack at a QB position. And I think in a lot of draft class, he would be a QB1. Since Caleb Williams is in this draft, though, he is my QB2. Give me Drake May, also a great leader out of North Carolina. All right, number 3, we got the New England Patriots up next. And I am going with Marvin Harrison Jr. for New England. Wide receiver out of Ohio State. New England could go a lot of directions here. Jaden Daniels is a player that they could go with. But if I'm the Patriots, man, I'm not taking a QB, especially with this kind of a team they got going on right now. At least not a QB in this first round. I think they've got to figure out these receivers and a lot of help on the offensive side of the ball. It's clearly the worst offense in the league heading into this year. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a blue chip prospect at the receiver room. I think he could be one of the greats in the league, as a lot of people are analyzing. I think the New England Patriots would be a little foolish to pass up on Marvin Harrison. No discredit to Jaden Daniels as a QB prospect, but I got Marvin Harrison going off the board to New England. All right, Cardinals up next at number 4. So Cardinals, a little bit disappointed that they didn't get Marvin Harrison. But honestly, I'm not too disappointed because I think Malik Nabers is a tremendous prospect here. I think he is closer than a lot of people think to Marvin Harrison. Malik Nabers reminds me a lot of Jamar Chase here. He's a great weapon. Cardinals need a weapon here. And Malik Nabers, I think, is the best player available. Joe Alt is also a really good prospect as well as an offensive tackle. But I think receiver is a much more needed position for this Arizona Cardinals team. And I'm telling you guys, Malik Nabers, I think, is going to be a stud at the next level, with the Cardinals taking him at 4. All right, number 5. We're going to have our first trade. This is going to be a trade mock draft here. We're going to have the Chargers trade down. A lot of needs for this team. I think it makes sense for them to trade down, and they're going to trade up with the Minnesota Vikings. How this trade is going to go, the Vikings are going to give up this 11th pick, their 23rd first-round pick, and then also their 4th round, 129, giving up a lot here. 3 of their picks, 3 of the 4 top picks to move up here. Yep, it was accepted. So Chargers trade down. Vikings are a team that is attacking this QB position. They really made it known when they went to trade away, trade for that first round pick from the Texans. And guys, a little bit of a hot take here, but I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. Yes, I think that Jaden Daniels is going to be the next QB. I'm going to spoil that a little bit, but this is not saying, I think that Jaden Daniels is a better QB prospect than the than J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to be real. I think Jaden Daniels is a great QB prospect. But the thing is here with J.J. McCarthy, I think he fits great with Kevin O'Connell's scheme. I don't think Kevin O'Connell really wants the more run attack QB like a Kyler Murray or a Lamar Jackson that I think Jaden Daniels will be. I think he needs the more traditional QB. JJ McCarthy, not more of a runner. He has a good running ability, but he's a very solid, has a passer, got a great arm. There is some room to grow there, but he had a great combine. He has potential to be a very good QB. I think that they have all the pieces to set up J.J. McCarthy. I don't think J.J. McCarthy will do well if he goes to a team that, like the Patriots or the Giants or something, where, he doesn't have a lot of good playmakers out around him and a bad offense. But if he goes to the Vikings, he could do some damage. So a little bit of a hotter take, but I am going with McCarthy out of Michigan to the Vikings. All right, but then we're going to have another trade here at 6. You see Jaden Daniels still on the board. If I'm the Giants, it's very tempting to take Joe Alt, who I think is one of the best players in this draft, if not the best. But I'm not going to do it. Giants have too many needs. I'm going to trade down here for them. And I'm going to move up with the Las Vegas Raiders. Pretty obvious who they're going to take up next here. But 13, 44, and a second round pick for the 6th pick here. I think that's a pretty fair trade to move up. And the Raiders, they're going to take Jaden Daniels here with this position. I think if you're the Raiders, this fits perfectly for you. You can have a Jaden Daniels QB who I think is a better prospect than McCarthy. And I think Jaden Daniels fits into the scheme for the Raiders. This is a best-case scenario for them. Again, if I'm the Giants, I'm very tempted to take Joe Alt, but get another second-round pick. Get a second-round pick next year. This is a rebuild for the Giants. I think they can build up their team. Raiders got a solid roster, believe it or not. I think they could compete this year with Jaden Daniels. Good landing spot for him for sure at 6. Then if you're the Titans, this is a no-brainer for me. Joe Alt on the board, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. You got to take Joe Alt here, man. It's just too easy. Joe Alt, just going to be a dominant pass blocker. He only has a few weaknesses in his game as a blocker. His hands, he could work on his hands a little bit, but other than that, he's a great run blocker, a great pass blocker. I think he's going to be a top 10 elite tackle in this league. All right, and then number 8, as you've noticed, we've had all offensive players go off the board. We're going to have our first defensive player, Dallas Turner, very interesting. He is more of the boom or bust type player. Raheem Morris could very much like him. But I think this Falcons team is trying to win this year in a weak division. I'm going to go with my guy in this draft. I don't think people have Laiatu Latu this high. I think Laiatu Latu is the best edge player in this class. I think Dallas Turner has the more potential to be better. But Laiatu Latu, I think, has a very high floor. I think he will be a very good player to start out, and that doesn't mean that he doesn't have high potential. I think he does. And if you're the Falcons, you're trying to win, you need an edge player. That's one of the most important positions in the game. Get Laiatu Latu and build up that defense, which the offense is looking great right now for them. All right, number 9, we got the Bears. I'm taking Rome Odunze here. It's a tight battle between Brock Bowers and Rome Odunze. I think wide receiver is a more important position, and Rome Odunze, I think, would fit great with DJ Moore on the other side and Caleb Williams. That's a great tandem. Bears looking like a really solid offense here, especially with their weapons. If they can get this receiver in Rome Odunze. Then the Jets up next. I think if you're the Jets, you see Rome Odunze and Brock Bowers at 9. Just take whichever one doesn't go to you. That would be, or whichever one gets picked doesn't get picked, I'm trying to say here, and that would be Brock Bowers for me. Brock Bowers, we all know how good Brock Bowers was at Georgia. He was a great player, was a huge piece for that tight end room. Very hard to stop, man. Jets need a tight end. Let's go with Brock Bowers for them. All right, next up, we got the Chargers. If I'm the Chargers, this is a dream scenario. You get another first-round pick and Ulomia Fushano. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but he is a great tackle prospect. In most drafts, he would be the best tackle prospect in that draft class, but Joe Alt is in this one. So, it's a really good draft class, a tackle draft class. And Ulanu Fushano is the second best, which is saying a lot. He is a great player, man, out of Penn State. Could work on some run blocking things. But other than that, I think that those are coachable things. He's a great pass blocker. I think he'll step in right away and be a great player for the Chargers, who desperately need a tackle. Then we got the Broncos up next. Broncos are a very big trade-down team for me. I think they very much could. I don't like any of these teams moving up at this point, though. If I'm the Broncos, you got to get the QB. This is Sean Payton's guy, in my opinion. Bo Nix is just a really great fit. Kind of a poor man's Drew Brees, in my opinion. I think he can be for sure a top 16, 20-ish QB right away and can develop to even more than that. And we all know the Broncos need a QB. It's a little bit early for Bo Nix. I understand that. There's a lot of great players here, but I don't think they trade down. QB is the most important position, and the Broncos desperately need it. They've been trying to get it for the past 7 years. Give me Bo Nix. All right, Giants up next. If I'm the Giants, Olanu Fushano, I want him there. You miss out on Joe Alt. So I'm going to take in my opinion, the third best tackle in this class, and it's close between Fushano and Mims, but I am going to go with Mims here. Amarius Mims, kind of more of a my guy. I really like this guy's potential. He didn't play the most amount of snaps at Georgia, which could be a red flag for those guys. But in his first year with Georgia, he was kind of a hybrid role. They had a great offensive tackle there, but obviously Amarius Mims is this freak of nature that they gave him some playing time as well. So he didn't get as much minutes there, but you look at him in his next year, he did deal with some injury concerns, which is a concern with Amarius Mims. But other than that, that's the only reason why he didn't play as much snaps as he did. He's a great player, a 5-star recruit, a big-time tackle, and when he was in, he was a force for the Georgia Bulldogs. So I like Amarius Mims a lot. I think he's getting slept on a bit. If the Giants can get him, I think that's a great draft so far for them with the trade down. Okay, next up, we got the Saints. I'm going to go with Dallas Turner here. Dallas Turner's still on the board. Saints, they obviously need tackle help, that's for sure. But they also need edge help. Their edge units were sneaky bad last year, and they're only getting worse. Get Dallas Turner. He's a boom player here. I think developing behind Cam Jordan for maybe a year, he can get there. Saints are a great coaching staff to develop these guys. I think they can do it. So give me Dallas Turner from Alabama off the board, which I believe is our first Alabama player. That's pretty crazy. Usually they go higher than that. First Alabama player off at 14. What a world we live in nowadays. But anyway, we got the Colts up next. And the Colts, they get an absolute steal here, in my opinion. Quinyon Mitchell, who I think is the best, by far, best cornerback in this class out of Toledo. There was a lot to like about his game. I don't really see that much weaknesses, man. I know he played against less competition, which is kind of in there, but it's obviously a big leap from the MAC conference to the NFL. But when he was at Toledo, he was absolute lockdown. No one could get by him. So, yeah, I like Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo to the Colts, who need a cornerback. All right, we got the Seahawks up next. Seahawks are an interesting team here. Seattle desperately needs help on the inside offensive line. And there's some good players here. Talise Fuaga, I think, would be a great pick for interior line for Seattle. But, and I'm a Seahawks fan, it pains me that, I'm going to make a trade down here. I really want to give the Seahawks this pick. I want to give my analysis with the Seahawks, but I think they need to trade down. They don't have that second-round pick. They have some needs, especially on the interior O-line. So I think it makes sense for them to trade down. There's a lot of good prospects in the later part of the draft. And if I'm the Commanders, I'm moving up. You just take your QB of the future. Let's propose this trade. It might get declined, yeah. But that's going to be the trade, so we're gonna cheat this a bit because it's my mock draft. So this is the original trade, a 16th for a 36th, a 40th, and the 35, and we're just going to throw in this third-round pick. That's not part of the trade, but just to make them accept it, that was declined. What in the... Okay. So we'll just do this then. There's no way they decline that. Yeah. So that's not the actual trade. The real trade is the first round pick here with the 16th and the 7th round pick, and the Seahawks get both Commanders early second round picks. So they're going to have to wait till day 2, which we're not doing 2 rounds here, but the Commanders trade up here, and they're going to take their next, in my opinion, their next and most important need here. With their Drake May, they need an offensive tackle. Troy Fayatuanu, sorry. Kind of having a tough time pronouncing that name, but out of Washington, the Commanders need it, man. They need to protect their QB. Their lines have been bad recently, so I like them to get Troy Fayatuanu and bring him in to help out May. He's a great prospect as well. Too good to pass up. I think it's worth it for the Commanders to trade up. All right, Jaguars up next, and I'm going to take Terrion Arnold. I think the Jaguars would want Quinyon Mitchell to fall here. Unfortunately, the Colts do take him, but Terrion Arnold is the next best cornerback in this class, in my opinion. I think the Jaguars could look at Brian Thomas Jr. as a potential pick here, but I don't have it happening. I'm going to go with Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, who I think is better prospect than Kool-Aid McKinstry on the other side from Alabama. All right, we got the Bengals up next. Bengals, I really wanted to trade down here with the Bengals, but I just can't find a partner that wants to trade up this high. I was thinking the Chiefs, but are the Bengals going to want to give the Chiefs the next best receiver, in my opinion, which is Brian Thomas Jr.? I don't think so. You could think of the Bills, but also that's a rival. I don't think if you're the Bengals, you don't need to trade down that much. And Brian Thomas Jr., I think, is the pick here for the Bengals. You need a weapon here. You got T. Higgins, who is, I think you're going to trade him away after this pick. He's wanting a big contract. Might as well just trade him away, get a player in Brian Thomas Jr., who I think can be a solid replacement of T. Higgins here. And Brian Thomas Jr. is a great prospect in this deep wide receiver class. I like him. Second round, you could go with one in the second round, which as well, they need a tackle. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is too good to pass up. That's my input there on the Bengals. Like I said, I do want to trade down if I'm the Bengals and take one of these other guys later, but I don't have that happening. Just take the best player available at an important position with Brian Thomas Jr. All right. Next up, we got the Rams. I'm going to go with a steal here, in my opinion. Brian Murphy, the second, out of Texas. I think this guy could go even earlier than this, like in the top 10 even. He's that good of a player. Inside D-line, we all know Aaron Donald retires. Rams are going to try and get that replacement. I'm not going to say Brian Murphy's going to be Aaron Donald, but he can be pretty darn good. I think that's a great pick for the LA Rams. Then we got the Steelers up next. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, another great pickup here, in my opinion. A steal. Not a steal, I guess, but Talise Fuaga. I'm going to go with him. Talise Fuaga, I think, could struggle at guard, but I think he could still play it. It's an interesting position for him. I think he is better at guard, but I do have him better at guard, but I think he could still play tackle, which is a very important need for the Steelers. I think he's the best tackle prospect available. I think if I'm the Steelers, I'm going with him. All right, Dolphins up next here. Dolphins need interior O-line bad. There's a lot of good players here. I think they would really want Talise Fuaga to play offensive guard or maybe shift to offensive tackle. Unfortunately, he does go off the board. So if I am the Dolphins, I'm thinking of players like J.C. Latham or Graham Barton here with this pick. I'm going to go with J.C. Latham because I think J.C. Latham has the potential to be a good tackle in the NFL. I am very hesitant on J.C. Latham, though. I think he could be a bust if he plays offensive tackle. I think you got to start him at guard, let him develop some of these skills, and then maybe later on his career switch him in. I think he could be a great guard, though, as well in his career. I'm just very nervous if he plays starting offensive tackle. I think he's getting too overhyped. So yeah, I'm a little hesitant on J.C. Latham. I think you do play him at guard to start out his career, which the Dolphins need one, and figure out some other players to play for tackle for you. All right, Eagles up next. Eagles really need a cornerback. I'm going to go with the best cornerback available here, which in my opinion is Nate Wiggins. Nate Wiggins is a very polarizing prospect. The injury concerns are very much real with Nate Wiggins, which you got to take it into consideration when taking one of these players. If you do remember Andrew Booth Jr., who came out from Clemson a couple of years ago, he slid in the draft to the second round. Kind of a very similar prospect to Nate Wiggins. I think Nate Wiggins is a little bit better, but he never worked out because he had those injury concerns. I could see that happening with Nate Wiggins. But on the other hand, I think Nate Wiggins could be a true lockdown cornerback in the NFL, which is saying a lot because it's very hard to do that in the National Football League. But I think the Eagles take the risk there. It's a very interesting pick. It could go either way. Could see a bust. Could see a top cornerback. It scares you. It's risky. Think the Eagles, though, great organization. They will take the risk, even with the injury concerns. All right, 23. We got the Chargers now. If I'm the Chargers, I'm taking receiver. You got your tackle. I'm taking receiver. Your two most important positions of need at this point. You do also need interior D-line, which is important as well. But I like Ladd McConkey out of Georgia here for you. Ladd McConkey, I think, is the next best wide receiver prospect. Kind of getting a little slept on, in my opinion. He was really good at Georgia. Great, reliable target. I like him going to the Chargers to get Herbert a weapon. All right, we got the Cowboys up next. Cowboys, interesting team. They have a lot of needs. I could see him going with the center here with Jackson Powers Johnson. Or a defensive tackle, offensive tackle they need. They need a lot of positions, honestly, running back as well. which I don't think you take a running back this early in this draft. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm trading down here. We're going to trade down with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to come up here, the defending champions. Where are the Cowboys? There they are. We're going to give up a 24th pick. The Chiefs are going to get a 24th pick and a 5th round pick in 174. Cowboys are going to get the 32nd pick, the Chiefs 3rd round pick, and the Chiefs 5th round pick. So a little bit of a 5th round pick swap there. So let's propose this. It's rejected. Of course it is. We're just going to, for time's sake, just make this trade impossible to reject for the Cowboys. We're going to throw in that first. That's not a part of the trade. There you go. Traded up if you're the Kansas City Chiefs to take your weapon. And that, in my opinion, is going to be Adonai Mitchell, who has really great potential. In my opinion, I think he could, at the peak, he could be the player you just traded, or the team you just traded down for with CeeDee Lamb. I think he can be that. Has a lot of those skill sets that CeeDee Lamb possesses, but he, not going to say he is, he has that potential. I think that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes will make him a great player. It's obviously the Chiefs. It's hard to mess up wide receivers like that. I think he will do a good job for the Kansas City Chiefs. And obviously, I don't think NFL World's happy about that at all. But I am going with that for the Chiefs. All right, Packers up next. This one's a constant mock to them. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, the white cornerback. Calling him a safety, I think he could very much play safety for Green Bay, or he could play slot corner. Even outside corner, I think he will still be pretty darn good at. It's tough to judge him. It's tough to judge him just because he's a white corner. It's obviously very rare to have a white corner. I don't remember the last time we've had that, but just because he's white doesn't mean he can't play. So I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean out of Iowa to the Green Bay Packers. Next up, we got the Buccaneers. Buccaneers, most important position in my opinion, still available for them. Team that made the divisional round last year, Jared Verse. Jared Verse, really good prospect. He could be a great edge rusher. Has a lot of potential. He needs to develop. That's why I think he does slip in this draft. A little bit more than a lot of people probably anticipate, but I like him still a lot. I'm going to go with Jared Verse. Then the Cardinals up next. Cardinals with their second pick, Johnny Newton out of Illinois. Obviously you would want, if you're the Cardinals, you would like, Brian Murphy, keep slipping. Because I don't think Johnny Newton's that good of a player, but he is still a great prospect. In my opinion, if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you need an interior D lineman. You need still a lot of positions. So just go with a really good player in one of your needed positions with Johnny Newton out of Illinois. Okay, next up we got the Bills up next. Bills just traded away Stephon Diggs. They need a wide receiver, and desperately. I could see him trading down here, accumulating some picks, because obviously they need receiver, safety, edge. Basically all those things they have listed there after all their cuts. Cornerback as well. But linebacker. But if I'm the Bills, I'm staying put. I'm taking Xavier Worthy here out of Texas. The next two Texas receivers going off the board here. I think Xavier Worthy, man, if you've seen his tape, he is a really fast player, man. He'll be a great deep weapon for Josh Allen. And obviously, I just can't see it, man. You've got to take Xavier Worthy here if you're a receiver if you're the Bills, because you need it. You need it desperately, or else your receivers are looking horrible right now. All right, next up we got the Detroit Lions. I'm going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry here, cornerback out of Alabama. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I said it earlier, a little bit more. I don't know if that's a hotter take, but I do think that Terron Arnold is a better player than Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid McKinstry didn't get as much targets as Arnold, because sorry, I keep forgetting Arnold's name, but Arnold just is one of those players that, came in, got attacked more because Kool-Aid was really locked down in his in the year prior. But I think that Terron Arnold has shown a little bit more than Kool-Aid. That's not discrediting Kool-Aid. He's a great prospect. He is going to go to a Detroit Lions team who, we know it, cornerback was clearly their worst position this previous year. Give them a good one. Let's go with Kool-Aid. Especially with, what's-his-face, one of their new corners. I know they signed a corner, but that one of their corners that they signed a year ago just got into a domestic abuse situation or something. So that ruins his career a little bit. But and the Lions need one. All right, moving on. We got the Ravens up next. Ravens really need a tackle here. There's some good ones still available. You see Jackson Powers-Johnson, obviously a center, slipping. I'm not saying Jackson Powers-Johnson is going to be a center, or a tackle. Sorry about that. But anyway, Graham Barton, I don't like the listing of offensive center. I think he is a guard. They do need guard, but I do think they need help at the tackle position a little bit more. I'm going to go with Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. I think Jordan Morgan's one of these tackle prospects that I'm pretty confident that he's going to come in and be a great player, or a decent player right away, and can build on that. He does have a little bit of shorter arms, so that does make him interesting to move around, but because you could play him at guard, but I think that's the only thing holding him back. I think with his shorter arms, he can be prone to the bull rush, but other than that, I think he's a great pass blocker for the Ravens, and the Ravens need that at tackle. I think they can get one right there. Okay, 49ers. We got... Whoa, sorry. Something's coming off here. Sorry, it's an ad. All right, anyway, Niners, sorry about that. Niners, I think they need a guard. Graham Barton slips a little bit. I think he's a player that is a first-round pick, in my opinion. I think he can go to the Niners, who need guard. Continue to try to build this Super Bowl team. Then our final pick in this draft, the Cowboys, a player that I mentioned them taking at 24, is still available. That's Jackson Powers-Johnson, slipping a little bit. Give me him to the Cowboys. And that is going to wrap up our draft. That will be a great pick for Dallas to try and replace the center and get a center they desperately need. So if you want to take a look at this is our draft. There's still some great players left. Chop Robinson's still on the board, as you saw. Michael Penix Jr., who I think's the best QB prospect available, will be a hot target in the second round if this was the case. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And anyway, guys, excited for the draft. This is our first mock draft. You better know that there'll be more. Anyway, guys, peace out.